Welcome everyone to this week's video. Today we are on Fish Friday number 253 and we have a good one for you today. Today's fish is one of the more popular fish in the aquarium trade, and you can probably find this in almost every single pet store in the world that sells fish. It's a neat fish, not one of my favorites, but hopefully it will become one of yours. Today's fish that we're going to be talking about is... bam! The Frontosa cichlid. Now, the Frontosa cichlid, or scientific name Tilapia frontosa, again that's Tilapia frontosa, it is part of the family Cichlidae, which is the family of cichlids. Now, we've talked about cichlids in the past multiple times, and they're very frequently mentioned on the channel. However, we haven't talked about many of them, and I felt it was good to talk about one of the more popular ones that you can find in the aquarium trade. Yes, we've talked about Crebensis cichlids and the cactuoides, the cockatoo cichlid, which is still popular, but those are South American. But I figured it'd be time to talk about an African cichlid, which this is one of. Now, the Frontosa cichlid is endemic to Lake Tanganyika. It is very common in the northern half of the lake, and up until 2003 it was all one species. But in 2003 there was a scientific study that came out that determined that the cichlids in the southern half of the lake are actually a different species, which does leave lend to be that there's probably other cichlids species even in the Frontosa complex, but they haven't been really described yet. But, you know, regardless, the northern half is kind of where you're restricted. And it's relatively deep water for a freshwater fish. You'll find these around 30 to 50 meters in depth, which is around 100 to 160 feet. Now, they will go shallower up to about 25 to 20 meters, but they really hang out in deeper water, especially the larger they got. The larger the fish, the deeper they'll be found. And they actually live offshore on the sloping lake bottom. And while they do like rocks, in the wild they are not necessarily cave dwellers. In an aquarium, you definitely want to give them caves and some dark spots because that will make them feel better. But in the wild, they are really found on these sloping lake bottoms with usually some rocks around, but not necessarily in the caves themselves. Now, the Frontosa cichlid is a large cichlid as compared to most of the others. I mean, we've talked about tilapia, of course, which is also a cichlid, but when you think of African cichlids, you think of like the electric rams and things like that, which are usually, a couple of inches long, not necessarily super large like this one. The Frontosa cichlid can get up to about 33 centimeters, which is 1.1 foot long. So it can get fairly hefty inside, and while it does have a compressed body like many of the other cichlids, it's, in my experience, it's a little bit thicker in the body than most of the other cichlids. Very, very, thicker bodied. Now, one of the ways to identify the Frontosa cichlid is you do have these 5 to 7 black bars going down the side. It's very distinguishable. Sometimes the bars get very wide and the white stripes get very, very thin, but you're going to always be able to differentiate or be able to see these black bars. Now, in the aquarium trade, you're going to find a lot more of this sort of like electric blue Frontosa, where it's all blue, but in the wild, you're going to see them a little more like this, which still has a startling amount of blue, but not near as much as, some of the selective breeding that's been done on some of the others. And the blue on the head and on the fins and everything, that's pretty indicative of the species, actually. Not that you should have that hard of a time distinguishing Frontosa cichlid, because obviously it's got this huge hump on the head, and usually in selective breeding they're even larger humps, and I believe that's a nuchal hump that does grow a little bit larger during breeding seasons, but most of the time it's going to be a little more slight, kind of like this. But they do have that very long elongated dorsal fin, and they have these very long filamentous fins as well. Still blue, and they're kind of wider on the tips. This one's just electric blue. So, you know, but it's still blue. Now, both males and females will have this hump. I want to make that clear. I do believe females are smaller humped and usually smaller bodied, but you definitely don't want to be like, oh, it doesn't have a hump, it's a female. It's there. But they do have this very large mouth with these very kind of thick, fleshy lips. And the reason why they have that larger mouth and those fleshy lips is that they primarily eat shellfish. They do eat quite a bit of other smaller fish, but they eat a lot of shellfish. And that's why their teeth are actually, they have a bunch of them, and they're fairly squat and close together. Very, very tough because they're crushing those shellfish. But they'll eat almost anything in aquariums, so they're actually fairly easy to take care of, which is one of the reasons it's so popular in the aquarium trade. Now, it is a schooling species, as are a lot of the African cichlids. You don't really find these alone too much within themselves, but they are cooling species. But now for the interesting fact we're going to end the video on. Sorry, I'm kind of paying attention to the baby over there. It is also a mouth brooding species, actually, and we've talked about this in the past. But the reason why I wanted to talk about this one is, even though it's a mouth brooding fish, it's a bit unusual. Most mouth brooding fish, when they are brooding, they come up very close to the surface, because the closer to the surface of the water, usually the more oxygen there is in the water. However, the Frontosa cichlid stays in deep waters. Like I said, most of the mouth brooding fish, they go up into very shallow waters. It's better oxygenation. And something else a lot of people may not think of is shallower waters are warmer. So those, fry are using a lot of energy and need to stay in warmer water. But Frontosa cichlids will actually still stay about 20 meters deep, which is going to be, I believe, about 70 feet deep. That's really, really deep. And this leads, it's basically kind of showing that the fry and the adults don't require as much oxygen as other mouth brooders. It's actually a huge advantage for this fish, because when you're that deep, there's not as many predators that will eat the fry. Not saying there isn't, but there. And they do actually have fairly large fry, because they will only raise about 22 to 25 eggs and incubate them until they're about 25 millimeters in long. So you got to think about that. That's actually quite a few fish, and that's one of the reasons why it has such a large mouth, is it's got to hold 20 some odd fry that are all 2.5 centimeters in length, and that's quite a lot of fish. But as soon as they reach 2.5 centimeters, they just kind of mix into the adult schools and just do their thing. They just basically go from there, and they're like, okay, now we're with the adults. It's a really, really neat kind of adaptation, taking mouth brooding even farther, because, as we talked about, mouth brooding is made to protect the fry, but then you talk about the depth. Excuse me, and that's protecting the fry even more. Now, I do want to mention that a lot of the African cichlid lakes, they are very clearer waters, so I don't think it's a 1-to-1 ratio in terms of temperature and oxygenation as compared to some of the lakes in North America. Because I believe at 20 to 30 meters in depth in an African lake, it's actually not that uncommon to have decent sunlight penetrate there, meaning it is warming the waters. So that's still very deep, but I don't if I'm correct, Lake Tanganyika is actually very, very clear, meaning they're still getting plenty of sunlight, meaning they're getting plenty of warmth. Really, really neat. Now, I should also mention, sorry, it's not, I'm going to end the video on that, but Frontosa cichlid doing just fine. It's not endangered. Don't feel bad. If you do get this in your aquarium, be aware this thing can get pretty large. So just be aware of that. But these things are doing just fine. There's a ton of captive breeding that's done on them. So, you know, go to town if you want these. But thank you guys so much again. I really appreciate it. Hope to see you again. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe if you do. I'd really appreciate it. Hope to see you again. If you'd like to support the channel, please click the link down below. It is by no means expected, but very much appreciated regardless. Take care of yourselves, take care of your loved ones, and peace.